Hey everyone, happy May the 4th. Hutt here again. I wanted to make a tier list for the upcoming Twin Suns tournament for Star Wars Squadrons. Um, this is my sort of state of the competitive scene, kind of like State of the Union. Anyone who saw my last video about Squadrons, this is going to be on the same topic, but definitely going to be a lot different format. This one I actually mean to do a little bit more seriously. So I went ahead and created, this tier list on Tier Maker. I've got a bunch of tabs open for recent tournaments and the upcoming Twin Suns tournament. So I'll um, go through each of the teams as I rank them and talk about how I think they're gonna do, and kind of like I'll go between the tier maker list and the Battlefy page, like I'm doing now, to talk individually about each roster. Kind of give where my thoughts and opinions are at, and I'm gonna try and keep it pretty easy here, so anyone that doesn't actually, keep up with Squadrons could actually watch this video and understand, what we're looking at going into this tournament. So again, this is Twin Suns tournament. It's got a huge prize pool, $20,000 prize pool. Definitely the biggest Squadrons tournament as of yet. But yeah, so let's hop into it. Um, I didn't. I swear I didn't plan on this, but first team I have here is my team, 16-bit esports. I'm gonna put us up in contenders, and I will touch briefly on the roster if I can locate it. Where are we? There we are. Yeah, so roster is unchanged from the last tournament we played in, which was the Cal Cup Spring Major. The only thing that has changed is our team name. We recently got acquired by 16-bit esports, so a little bit of a rebranding going on. Pretty cool. In terms of where we're at competitively, our team, since I have joined the main roster, we have yet to place anywhere other than fourth. So, Cal Cup Spring Minor, Cal Cup Spring Major, SCL Season 1, we took fourth place in every single tournament. We're consistently performing super well. Um, I think that it's only fair to place us up in this contenders page. I would be shocked to see this team drop anywhere below fourth. And maybe you could argue against us going any higher than fourth, but I think putting us any lower than fourth is doing us a disservice. Next, we have CA Gold. I'm also going to put them up in contenders. So CA Gold is an interesting team that kind of languished in obscurity for a while until this tournament here, Operation Ace Open 2. I will show you something amazing here. So Cavern Angels Gold Squadron Group 2. So it was apparently decided that they needed to be last seed, and then look at this. Split, win, 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 win for a total game score of 10-2, nabbing them the second seed out of this pool. They split versus the Randalorians. We'll talk about them later. And then, if that wasn't enough, CA Gold heads into the Spring Major, and we'll go over to the playoff bracket, which they of course qualified for. 2-0 Hutt Cartel, a good team. 2-1 Remnant Squadron, an amazing team. Remnant coming into this tournament was looking really hot. And then they get 2-0'd in the semifinals against the Randalorians, but that puts them in fourth place. So, like, Cavern Angels Gold, a super good team. Um, so next up, this is Callisto. I don't actually know anything about these guys. If I don't know anything about your team, I'm super sorry. It's nothing personal. I'm just not going to rank you. That's just kind of where it's at. Okay, Chese. I've been waiting to talk about these guys forever. I'm going to put them up in contenders as well. So, looking up at their roster, it's weird. So, Chese lost their main support, Pseudo. He moved over to Nova. And once they lost Pseudo, they did not participate in a tournament. So, they never showed up to Operation Ace, I don't think. And they did not play in the Spring Major. I'm going to check if they even played in the minor, which they might have. Um, Looks like they did play in the minor. I wonder where they placed. Gray Squadron Chese. Is this them or is this Tempest? This is Tempest. Where's Chese? Oh, here they are. Oh, they eliminated us at fourth. How could I forget? Yeah. So they took fourth at the minor, and then lost pseudo and went dark, and they haven't been playing very much until very recently. They started practicing a lot more again. And, we've been waiting with bated breath to see who's going to take that fifth slot on Chese. So, like, Chese is definitely like a big team, taking fourth at the minor. They've always been a huge contender. I think they got second at SCL Season 1. Yeah, they did. Like, this is a top team. Um, so here listed in Battlefy, they've got Shazam Powers, who we know from his time spent playing for Gas, another like top 5, top 4 team. So could this be their fifth player? Maybe. And here's what I think. So Chese, the player, not the team, is a legendary troll. And I think that this might be a misdirection and that they've rostered Shazam here only to change it at the last second for who their actual fifth is going to be. I don't know. And he'll probably lambast me for having even brought this up in the video. But yeah, so a team that's been gone for a couple months with a slightly changed roster, why do I think that they're still a contender? Well, the thing is that individually the four players that are unchanged, Cheese, District, Rinky, and Arios, are good players. They're very good players. And I don't think that a 2-month break can justify saying that they're not going to do well. I definitely think I could see Cheese placing top 4 decently. I think it's decently likely Cheese could take top 4. I could even see like top 4 being like Splinter, Rando, 16-bit, and then Cheese, or Randos, Splinter, 16-bit, Cavern Angels. I think that is definitely 2 super likely top 4 finishes. Next up, this is Crone. I don't know enough about Crone. They've been around a while. They've played a lot. I'm sure I don't know how they're gonna do. Cobra Tai. So this is a tough one for me. I think they're gonna have to go into top 8 likely, and we'll go and discuss their roster quickly. Cobra Tai, this team, this Eye of the Tiger team, I think is what they are. It's cut off here. They've consistently done really well and placed really highly, and I know they're a really good team. But their roster looks a lot different here. So their old roster had Chuku, Sitka, and Darth, and also Beach. But I don't recognize any of these 3 players. Maybe they have different in-game names, or maybe I'm just really dumb and these are players that have always been on Cobra Tai. But it looks like the roster could be slightly shaken up, which I don't think is a bad thing per se. In terms of their results, I'd like to view all standings. Did they play an Operation Ace is the question. I don't see them here in Op Ace. At the major, I believe they took 8th. Nope, they're not here either. Was it at the minor that they... I know they've placed very highly in tournaments. I don't see them here, and I didn't see them in Operation Ace. But I'm sure if I jump back to the spring minor, they were placing highly, I swear. Yeah, okay, so there they are, taking top 16 at the minor. Okay, um, so maybe I might bump them down then. No, but they're a really good team. Maybe I'll put them at the bottom of top 8, but I don't consider them likely. Maybe a top 8 contender, but not a top 8 likely. Oh, okay, Crimson Wings next. I'm going to throw them up in top 8 likely. So this is a super interesting team. Let's go take a look at their roster. So Crimson Wings has been a very good team since their inception. Their roster has been completely out of control for a while, and they're bringing a really new roster here. So previously, Crimson Wings had Dazu rostered, but Dazu had yet to play. Now Dazu is on this Crimson Wings roster. There's only 5 players on this roster, so if they're playing, these are the 5 that they're going to have. And, so Dazu and Swift have been, involved with Crimson Wings for a while. They're both amazing players. And then Vix, is a holdover from the previous Crimson Wings roster, the one that we saw at Op Ace. Yeah, this Valo, Brandon, and Swift all staying. So swapping out Vix and Loser Kid for Dazu maybe coming back to the main roster, which I think Dazu was very good. So if they're still in practice, this could be definitely a big move. And then Namaste? Who's Namaste? For anyone that doesn't know who Namaste was, right when this game came out, Namaste was part of this group called Deathwatch. They were like the most badass team out on like the ranked solo queue. If you ran into Deathwatch, it was done. And Namaste was like this, like widely considered like this amazing player. Namaste was to like November December Squadrons what Scalpwaka is to the game now. But then Deathwatch never showed up to a tournament ever, and Namaste stopped playing for a while. So like this is crazy to see Namaste's name on this Crimson Wings roster. Because what does this mean? Is it like a troll? Like, are they trying to scare us, or is Namaste coming back to the game? Is Namaste even good? Like, do we consider Namaste as much of a threat as we did back in December? All these questions I ask myself. But this core, these four are good, and they've consistently placed really well. Because what did they get? They got tied for fifth here at Up Ace, and in the spring minor they took eighth. Good team. I think top eight likely is a fair spot to put Crimson Wings. Fracture. Okay. I don't know about Fracture. I think top 16 likely is where they belong. I don't know if I see them breaking into top eight. The big thing to look at would be their most recent tournament, their only tournament, sorry, which was the Spring Major. Where did they finish? They ended up getting eliminated at 16th versus the Ruffnecks, which is not a bad loss going 2-1 versus Ruffnecks. Ruffnecks are a very, very good team. Um, but I don't know if I'm very confident of them being able to break into this top 8 area. I'd say I'd probably leave them around the upper end of top 16 likely. So maybe I'd like slide Cobra Tai back and put them at the upper end. This team it's a new team, and I'll go ahead and actually, I'll discuss their roster really quick. Once I locate them, there they are. So we've got a bunch of recognizable names from Great Science Team, Reflex, Maestro. So then, and McClunky was playing for TFA for a while. McClunky is a very good player, and everyone knows Alaric. Definitely like one of the bigger streamers in the scene. Very good interceptor, and then just like Reflex, Maestro, and Dragon, all just consistent players that have been a staple in the scene for a while, and then they sort of came together to form Fracture, which I think was probably a good decision because like McClunky and Alaric are too skilled of players to leave as free agents, and taking on consistent and solid players like Reflex, Maestro, and Dragon to make this new team Fracture. I think it was a good decision, but I don't think Fracture is like a mainstay like top team yet. They have room to grow. So this is interesting. They've rostered Innocent Dictator. So Innocent was trying to form a team for a while. Again, another player that's like too good to be a free agent. I wonder how he'll affect their roster if at all, or if he gets any play time. Super interesting. Yeah, but I think I'll leave them at top 16 likely. Guac, Guac. So Guac is interesting. I'd probably place them maybe above Cobra Tai because they've been kind of popping off lately. They've always been in the background as kind of a very mid-level team, very mid-level. But suddenly they've been kind of doing pretty well. I believe they're in on the SCL Season 2 qualifiers, which had very strong teams. They had to compete to earn that spot. Um, And I believe, like, individually, players like Zyphaz, Not Tom, Scribbler, TechSoup, individually good enough players that they belong in consideration for a top team, a top 16 team. I don't think that they're Crimson Wings level. I don't think that they're Cheese Cavern Angels 16-bit level, but they're good. Next up, ooh, I have a Discord notification. Look at that. It's crazy. So this is Hex. I think I'd have to put them in top 16 contenders. So Hex is, it's tough. Hex is a story of heartbreak. Because while they were at their A game, they were really good. Throughout a lot of SCL Season 1, they were performing very admirably. And I hate doing this. I hate boiling down team success to one member, but once they lost Null and Wolfsfang, it kind of went downhill really severely for them. And they haven't, I mean, they didn't take top 16 at the major. I don't even know where they're at for Op Ace. I don't see them here. I see Crone taking 10th, but I don't see Hex. We can check if they even played in the minor. There's Crone again, and there's Hex. So, they fielded this lineup with Kashna, Check Your Closet, Lancer, and Area Witch. And I am curious to see how they ended up. Yeah, so they didn't make it to day 2, which is kind of what this tier list is about. But I will say one thing. Looking at their roster, this is a really clean roster. So Professor Autumn is very skilled interceptor. And Null is back on this roster. Null did not play on this roster for a while. I think that this could be a super deadly interceptor duo. I know that, like, personally, so I fly interceptor a lot. I struggle to fly against Professor Autumn. That's a really glowing commendation for this team. And Null coming back, sticking with, the tried and true Kashna, Check Your Closet, OBJ duo, and then Area Witch is just, she's super dedicated to the game, so I'm sure that she can fly. I would say that this team is super a top 16 contender. I might even say top 16 likely if there weren't so many other really good teams out there. Hutt Cartel, I'm going to throw them up in top 16 likely. I'll probably put them ahead of Cobra Tai and maybe also ahead of Guac and maybe probably also ahead of Fracture. So this team is interesting. Hutt Cartel is a good team, but they've never brought the results that they deserve. Ever. So, like, looking here, I don't see them anywhere in Op Ace, Spring Minor. They are also not in the Spring Minor top 16. I know they placed top something in the major. They did well at the major, which was kind of like their, like, first they showed up and suddenly they were, like, still doing really well. Yep, taking 16th at the major, but only losing to Cavern Angels, who went on to take 4th. That is not a bad loss to lose to Cavern Angels. And this roster is super interesting to me because I know individually these players are insane. Liven, Lemming, Sheriff, and then Fenwin is has not been participating in tournaments for a while, but she's back. I wonder if she's any good, genuinely. Hutt Cartel, I think top 16 likely. I think that if they got super lucky, they could get top 8. But top 16 likely is where I'm going to put them. This team is a team that didn't have like a proper profile picture set up. I think this was Nord Squadron. Yeah. So like they have this icon here, and then you click on their team and the icon's here. But where I grabbed the picture is I grabbed it from this box where it's broken. So I actually don't know anything about this team. Sorry. Yeah. So Nova. Nova is interesting. I think I probably will slot them in here at top 16 likely. They're an interesting team. They placed really well at Op Ace, taking top 5. These players are super good. Like, it is just known that Lizard Wizard, Tasty Bite, Morg, Juder, really good players individually. They picked up Pseudo to fill their support slot, and, Pseudo came from Chese. So, like, this is a team that should really work. But they didn't end up making it to day 2 at the major. And it was close. It was genuinely very close. And they had a tough bracket. But that's so, it's like, where can I put them? Do they belong in? Do I think it's likely they'll get top 16? They didn't get top 16 last time. I don't know. I think they belong here in top 16 likely. I might say maybe you could argue they'd be at the very top of top 16 contenders. I don't think they'd go any higher than top 16. Like, because there are just so many killer teams here at top 8. I don't know. A very good team, a long history team. I'd say they're definitely probably above Guac still, above Cobra Tai. Maybe I'd put them above Fracture, somewhere along the lines of like Hutt Fracture Nova or Hutt Nova Fracture so far. Next up, Orange. So, okay, I love Orange. I really do. But I'm going to have to put them down in top 16 contenders because they have been really sliding lately. Um, this lineup has just not been working super well since they lost Geo. So they got 10th, tied for 10th here at Op Ace, which is not good. We go to the Spring Major. I don't think they did not qualify for day 2. Yeah. Failed to qualify for day 2. It's kind of a bad look. Going back to the Spring Minor. Let's see where they ended up here. I don't see them here. Yeah, so then they got 16th at the Spring Minor. So like kind of a team that's been sliding. I know they're good. But and it's I hate to, not reflect highly on their skill, but I feel like they've been sliding. I'd like to see them make a turnaround. I'm going to leave them in top 16 contenders, kind of around Hex Squadron, maybe even below Hex Squadron. Hutt Peach. I don't know anything about this team. I only recognize Radiant, who is a streamer, YouTube content creator, good player, but I don't know anything about these guys. So like, I think I'm just gonna neglect to rank them. Rancor. Rancor is another team like Orange who I feel like have been sliding a lot lately. Individually, these players are insane. Pierre is amazing, Zoltri is amazing, Roku's a great support, Kentucky is a really good OBJ player. I don't know as much about the other two, Korleth and Razik. In terms of their placements, I don't see them over here. For Op Ace, Spring Minor. I don't even see them on day 2. I think they made day 2 at the major. Or no, it was Ruffnecks who made day 2 at the major. I don't know if the main Rancor team did. Yeah, there's Ruffnecks. Yeah. So it looks like Rancor didn't even make top 16 at any of those tournaments. They didn't play in Op Ace. They used to be a really big dynasty in this game, kind of like taking top 16, top 8 sometimes. I'd probably have to put them around here at the bottom of top 16 likely, maybe even place them below Cobra Tai. Around Cobra. I'd put them above Guac too. I want to believe that they could, turn it around and get top 16. We'll see what happens. Okay, Randalorians. Yeah. So Randalorians are coming hot off of a win at the last major. We're also coming off of second place at Op Ace, first place in SCL, first place at the minor. They're kind of definitely like the top 1, if not top 2 team. Like, this lineup is cracked. It's insane. I've been talking to people. Jester is just the single best number 1 interceptor pilot in the game right now. They have, of course, A1, who's legendary. Submo, great support. And then they have a wide berth of very skilled OBJ players to choose from. And, keeping their roster big like this lets them make, any substitutions that they want. Randalorians, they belong right at the top here of contenders. And I am ranking it that teams at the left are higher rated than teams at the right. I feel like I'm being brief on Randalorians, but they speak for themselves. Remnant. Okay, so Remnant's weird. I don't know what to do with them. I think they could belong. I think they might belong in contenders. But so they tied for 5th at Op Ace. Cool. Good job, guys. Very nice. They got 8th at the Spring Major, but they kept it close. They kept it respectable. And I believe they got 4th at the minor, or they placed highly at the minor. Let's find out. No, they... Where are they at? They ended up getting eliminated in round of 16 at the minor. I feel like they took fourth in something good. Remnant is a very, very good team. Definitely like top 8 peak. I could even see them taking fourth. Like, I think they could beat Chese, yes. And maybe they could even beat Cavern Angels if they clean up their play from last time. I mean, last time they went 2-1 against Cavern Angels. I don't know. I just don't think that they're not on the level of like Randalorians. And I don't think we'd lose to them. That's just me being honest. I love these guys. They're like our main scrim partners. I know them super well. And I love them to death, but I'm just trying to like keep it objective and not let my bias too over. I think that I'm being anti-biased against them by leaving them at the top of top 8. Ruffnecks. Ruffnecks is weird. So this roster, when it was formed, I was like, this roster's not going anywhere. Like, these players I hadn't heard of ever. They hadn't played on any team before, but then they kind of made some waves. I don't think they placed here. I don't know if they played in Op Ace, but then suddenly, at the Spring Major, they're winning in the round of 16 in the playoffs and, losing to the Randalorians. The only team they lost to in the top 16 was the team that won the dang tournament. Admittedly, they did drop a game to Fracture, but I think that I'm shocked by how well this roster has performed. And I'd say they'd probably belong either at the top of top 16 likely or at the very bottom of top 8 likely. I could see them taking top 8 again. I don't know why they wouldn't. Maybe they drop a game, maybe they drop a set to like Hutt or Fracture. So I think I'll leave them here. Shrapnel. So Shrapnel's a team that's not really performed amazingly. They've been around a while. They have good players. I know Pandarkon, Mauser, Teleri are good players, but they've yet to really show up and place. But this roster looks a little bit different. I noticed Boss Nass, an amazing player, and Ando Senpai, another really good player, and streamer too. So like these are a little bit of roster moves that I'm kind of vibing with. I could see Fracture making it to day 2. I'll place them in top 16. This is Sigil Squadron. Don't know anything about them. Spicy. Spicy is so weird to me. I just don't get it. Like, they always place amazingly, and it just doesn't make any sense. So here they are taking 8th at the major. And I'm pretty sure they also took 8th at the minor. Which I will now check. And they did. Like 2 8th place finishes in a row. And I mean, these players individually are kind of cracked. Jish, 8-Ball, Dark Krieg, Monty, Isoda, Trash. Individually, these are really good players. Like this team, when they're on their A game, are like borderline top 8. I'd say I'd put them definitely above Ruffnecks. Top 16 likely, probably gonna break into top 8. Splinter. Oh man, Splinter. Okay, I mean this team, right? They won everything for the first few months of this game being out. They won Op Ace Open 1. They won the Winter Minor, right? Or no, they got second in the Winter Minor, first in the Winter Major, and then they just got second, or they won Op Ace 2, so they won both Op Aces, and they took second, though, at the Spring Major for Cal Cup. They lost to the Randalorians in the finals. Which is interesting, because that's our most recent tournament. That's our most recent results to go off of. I'm going to put them behind the Randalorians just based off of that fact alone. We can talk about the roster if we want, but what can be said that hasn't already been said? They have Scalpwalker, probably the second best interceptor in the game right behind Jester. They've got Nop, an amazing support. Jarina Brunis, OBJ duo. Fenkar, the most legendary AI farmer in the game. He basically wrote the book on AI farming. Number 1 AI farmer, I'd say, period. Like, Fenkar is to AI farming what Jester is to intercepting. This team has it all. They belong in second on my list for sure. Tempest. Man, what another weird and frustrating roster, right? Like, if we go back to, like, the start of Squadrons, Tempest like out of nowhere got like fourth in the Winter Minor, which is amazing. And then they've been kind of always there on the sides since. They made it to day 2 for the Spring Major. Right now we're looking at the Spring Minor where they also made it to day 2. I think this is them. All the Gray Squadron teams get cut off. Yeah, they made it to top 8 at the minor. So, like, and they only got eliminated by the Randalorians, who went on to win the minor. And another thing, this team beats us. A team that is consistently always in the top 4 is dropping games and even dropping sets to Tempest. Like, I just don't know what to do. I'd say I'd put them around here. I think if they got top 8, I wouldn't be shocked. They are going to get top 16. They have never not gotten top 16, from what I can tell. They got 4th at Op Ace. Like, they tied with Cavern Angels Gold, who I'm throwing all the way up in contenders. If they had a good showing at the Spring Major, I would put them up in contenders, or I would put them at top 8 likely. But as it stands, that's where they are. So this is TFA Vader's Wrist. I know a little bit about them. They've always been around, and I recognize these names: Joe Spence, Dr. Patches, Cobalt. This is like a decent team, but I don't know if they really have the results to show. So here they are. They took last at Op Ace, which is tough. Op Ace was a tough tournament though. I don't believe they made it to day 2 at the Spring Major. Yeah, I'm not seeing them. So I think I'd probably put them around here, down at the bottom of top 16 contenders. But definitely a good team individually. If they make top 16, I'll be like, yeah, that's not that big of a surprise. If they make top 16 over one of these teams, I might be decently surprised. But yeah, so the rest of these teams are just teams I don't know super enough about. So this is Typhoon Squadron. I don't know anything about them. I think they've been around, but I don't know. So I think that I will, yeah, end it here. And I'd love for you guys to throw together your own tier list. You know, if you think that mine is wrong anywhere, if you want to throw a comment on this video and say, hey, I think you're stupid. Hey, you didn't talk about my team, blah, blah, blah. I'd love to hear it. But I feel really solidly about this. I think that this gives a great overview on where the teams are at, what we're looking for going into this tournament. So yeah, this is Hod signing off. Watch my other video if you wanted to know what the competitive scene looked like a few months back. Check my Twitch stream. I'll be streaming this tournament if you want to see how we do. Yeah. Happy May the 4th.